Again, dusting. Oh, fuck's sake, game. Let me get this straight out of the way and tell you what kind of video this is. I have my notes in front of me and this will be a long commentary video with some gameplay footage in the background. And originally I was thinking writing a script that is supposed to be on par with my previous videos, but I realized it would take me too long and would kinda lose its purpose. Not to mention I doubt anyone's gonna watch till the end, so I think that's the best way to approach this video for now. So please forgive me if I stumble sometimes with my words, as I'm literally doing this in one go. I will not sugarcoat this, Battlefield 2042 is a mess. Beneath it, there's probably a Battlefield game that is worthy a sequel to Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1, but at the current state, November 2021, minus the obvious bugs and performance issues, has a lot of fundamental design problems that can be fixed in just a couple of weeks. But this video is not a review or a discussion how to fix the game, that requires a lot of videos that are a couple of hours long, but I will be discussing something that I'm really passionate about in every Battlefield game. Ground vehicles, and more precisely, tanks.
Yeah, they're next to you. Thank you for that cover.
There goes the heli. Since I started playing Battlefield games more than a decade ago, tanks were my thing. I educated myself, I got better, and as a Battlefield veteran, gotta hate that word, I think I have a good understanding what makes tank driving in Battlefield games fun, entertaining, useful, and most importantly, not adding my personal bias and making combined warfare gameplay unbalanced. Before I continue, yes, this is gonna be a critique and a call to buff tanks in Battlefield 2042, but I'm not ignorant. I understand that infantry gameplay is not the best either, but there's so many things I need to cover to even explain what is the problem with Battlefield 2042, and I just can't squeeze everything into one video, let alone multiple videos. So for now, for this video, I'm just gonna focus on something I'm extremely good at, and that's ground vehicle gameplay. So after playing for more than 30 hours so far, and adding my experience with a technical playtest back in August, ground vehicle gameplay is broken and extremely not fun, and a simple number rebalancing will not fix any of the problems. If this game was ahead of schedule, then I doubt DICE will have the resources or commitment to address all the important issues when it comes to vehicle gameplay. So it looks like we're stuck with this shit forever. Sadly. I mean, come on guys, we need to pump another Battlefield in 2 years. Think about the multi-billion publishers. Am I right? Anyway, jokes aside, my original plan for this video was literally a rant. But one Friday night, me and my friends decided to squad up. And that kinda gave me a different perspective.
Okay, people pushing on the right, left.
Oh, oh, he's not that good, I can tell.
Don't tell.
Oh, fuck yourself, tank. Two tanks, okay. Come on, turn. Oh, fuck you, my dude! That night was probably the most fun I had with Battlefield 2042. I looked at the game from a different angle and a perspective, and granted, just because I had fun doesn't mean I was not frustrated with the stuff I will be discussing in this video. Anyway, so I divide this video into 4 parts: purpose, mechanics, environment, support, other, and proposed solutions. Like I mentioned before, I was thinking doing a fancy editing to explain my points, but it would take me too long. And before I continue, I need to mention that I won't be discussing air vehicles in this video because I'm not qualified to tell anyone what makes those mechanics good. I just can't fly, especially not in Battlefield 2042. I don't know if it's the controls or something else, I just can't do it. So please go check out Prolosco on Twitter, who is an amazing pilot and actually knows what he's talking about. If you need feedback about air vehicle gameplay, he is your guy.
Stop.
Wait, I need to get some cover.
Oh.
I need to get some cover, because there's a tank in front of us.
And focus on the tanks and not the infantry, you dickhead!
Get out of my tank if you don't like it.
But you're such a
There's
good
vehicles
driver.
up on the hill and you're
I
just
see
focusing
that!
on
What do you
fucking-
think I'm trying to do? There's a fucking tank here, don't you see?
There was a car up there, you could have
Fuck the
shot
car!
the
Tank is
thing.
more important. Car does no damage. Tank does. Here you go.
That's an easy kill for you, that's what I mean.
I don't give a shit about easy kills. I want to kill the tank.
Oh, you don't say!
Here you go. Tank is dead. Now we can attack the
No,
objective.
And No, it isn't.
So let's start with the purpose. What is the purpose of tanks in Battlefield 2042? At this current moment, they have none. They're just a gimmick, because having a Battlefield game without tanks is a pretty controversial idea. And I agree, removing tanks from the game would be devalue the actual Battlefield brand. But you can tell DICE has no idea what they want to do with them. Are they super powerful machines that are designed to get as many kills as possible? No, they don't have the weaponry or speed for that, as one player with explosives can run circles around the tank and kill it easily. If you're up against two competent players, you won't even get one kill. You can't attack objectives directly because you're too slow changing directions or turning your turret fast enough. Sure, you can camp at the back and get some kills, but suddenly it's a different purpose. You might get some kills, but that doesn't mean enemy players won't be revived because you're not close enough to the action, and you're just basically wasting time without helping your team. If they're not aggressive killing machines, are they support type of vehicles? Do they have a lot of health, armor, maybe providing a spawn point for your team? Maybe you can literally be a tank, just like in League of Legends or Overwatch. Take all the damage necessary while infantry doing all the damage. Sadly no. Two well-placed shots and you're probably in trouble. And the only people that can spawn on you are your squad mates, assuming your tank is not already full of random teammates. That being said, you're probably thinking that those extra seats in the tank can help you survive longer. On paper yes, but only under right circumstances that are not under your control. More on that later. So if the main battle tank is not a killing machine, nor is a support type of vehicle, why is the main purpose of this particular ground vehicle? I don't know, honestly. Vehicles feel like an afterthought and I just can't understand what the gameplay designers were thinking while implementing tanks into the game. I don't know what DICE is getting feedback from about tanks, but it feels like they heard the feedback that vehicles are extremely overpowered in the Battlefield game, but they don't want to make the vehicles borderline useless either. Problem is, that feedback came from people that want to remove vehicles from the game entirely, or they find them boring or whatever. Because vehicles force them to be more creative and adapt to their situation, like changing class or equipping rocket launchers instead of medkit, which means ruining their personal flow they had in mind. These people hate being killed by vehicles, even if it was fair and balanced. DICE never really approached anyone who understands vehicles properly. That goes to air vehicles too, but they never considered that the feedback they might be getting is extremely biased. Maybe in wars, that bias comes directly from a gameplay designer himself. Don't get me wrong, vehicle players have their own bias, including myself, but if I can reflect on my own bias and understand that I'm not always right, why can't the developer do that? That is literally hired to deal with that kind of problem. And if they are doing that and they understand that, why they don't have the platform to actually act on the problem? Who exactly makes these decisions when we have so many Battlefield games as a reference, but somehow we reach that point where no one is happy, whether you're an infantry or a vehicle player? And as we look at Battlefield 2042, at the current state, tanks have no purpose. They're not fast enough, not strong enough, they don't have the right mechanics to be a support vehicle either, so why they are in the game? And to make things worse, transport vehicles like the hovercraft or a truck are more useful than any tank in the game, as they either have the speed or the actual firepower to fight infantry head on. Not really, their range is quite high on that fucking specialist. In front of us? Oh, it's Willy Thunder! Back for revenge. Oh shit.
Dear God, what a round we're having here.
Yeah, here we go. One more. On your left. Fuck you, Sundance.
Ooh.
Okay, 5
You're
kills.
slaying, my dude.
Fucking slain. Who needs a tank when you have this fucking thing?
It's
Yeah, go on.
It's one straight forward.
Let's see.
Good shot. Right side.
Oh, right side. Wait.
Oh,
Fuck
what?
it.
Oh. Yeah, right.
Ah!
Behind the shields.
Behind a shield.
Here.
Oh!
Oh my God, look at the meter.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. And I just can't wrap my head around that. Battlefield 5 tried to be clever, as it was one of those Battlefield games where they gave you so many different tanks to use, it became extremely unbalanced in the vehicle versus vehicle combat. Want to be a heavy support tank? You can, but you have no chance fighting a more fast tank or vice versa, while infantry is dunking explosives on you non-stop as soon as you're close to an objective, regardless what type of tank you pick. You had no way to adapt to the evolving situation, as you can't change your tank type at the base, for example. On paper, Battlefield 5 had a good idea when it came to giving us options how we want to approach tank gameplay, but because of the nature that is Battlefield, League of Legends type of ideas just don't work, because Battlefield doesn't have the foundation to accommodate these type of advanced tank mechanics. It doesn't work with 64 players, but I can't even imagine working with 128 players. I know people hated Battlefield 1 incursions, but it was the closest in accommodating these type of needed mechanics to make tank gameplay more advanced and impactful. Was it perfect? Of course not, but it was a good start. Tanks in Battlefield 5 were extremely slow and they added limited turret speed while in third person. Yes, it's realistic, but why you need realistic mechanics in tanks when infantry mechanics are arcadey, fast-paced, and they can literally run circles around tanks without feeling any danger? Why tanks supposed to be realistic while infantry can do whatever? And because of that, Battlefield 5 was extremely unfun when fighting vehicles as infantry, because they're all camping on the back of their objective. So if you're dealing with a good tank driver, you never had a chance to kill him. And trust me, as a tank driver myself, it's not a fun gameplay experience either. We hated Battlefield 5 vehicle gameplay because all we had to do to play good was to camp. And we don't like camping, believe it or not. And to make camping even more dominant, DICE introduced a part disable mechanic from Battlefield 1. So every time someone hits you, you might have a part disabled on your tank, your turret, tracks, you name it. And you can't do anything about it. Literally nothing. You have no counter or every aspect of the game is telling you to suffer. You can't predict which part will be disabled, when it will be disabled, how it will be disabled, and you can't do anything about it. So why a tank driver wants to risk his life to attack an objective if he's putting himself in a disadvantage? Because you're a tank? Why is the purpose of a tank if you're just gonna die anyway? How are you helping your team by dying like a bitch with no way of fighting back? Why tank drivers need to be punished for just being a tank? They already can't follow infantry with a turret that has a limited speed, and now tanks get disabled right and left just because they exist? How is that fair? Why is the actual purpose of this mechanic other than annoying the actual tank driver? It's definitely not balanced because infantry have an upper hand all the time. No good player wants to attack an objective and put themselves in a disadvantage. It's just not happening. And that's the thing, people don't really consider what a good tank driver would do. And that's why I have with Battlefield 5, they just camp at the back. Furthermore, the physics are completely over the place. So going through a rough terrain in a tank is pretty much suicide, because you have no idea if your tank is gonna slide like it's made of feathers, or stand like it's one of the most heaviest thing you ever controlled without any speed momentum, while infantry players can cross that terrain relatively easy with no problems. Two different philosophies trying to merge together is just asking for trouble. It never worked, never will, and as I mentioned before, no one is happy. Battlefield 5 tank mechanics are one of the worst in the franchise, and I'm gonna stand by that. So how does it compare to Battlefield 2042? Well, they are pretty much identical but faster because futuristic. Limited turret speed is still a thing, while infantry players running circles around you, that haven't changed. Driving through terrain is as terrible as it was in Battlefield 5 because you're either too heavy or too light. Switching from third person to first person is abysmal as usual. It's confusing to look at, let alone focus on your targets, as your crosshair goes all over the place as you're trying to aim. And when you're indeed in third person, your crosshair is literally flying around and it's extremely hard to aim and shoot. It's just not comfortable to even aim with it. Visibility in first person is definitely so much worse than Battlefield 5 because of the visual filter and HUD notifications that are in front of your screen. If you want to escape a situation that you know you can't win, or you want to change your plans, you don't have the acceleration to do so. And if by some miracle you indeed manage to gain the speed you need, navigating yourself going backwards is extremely annoying because of the slow turret speed. Yes, you can lock the turret into one position and look forward, but if you're looking backwards, it's mostly because you expect enemies trying to stop you from escaping. So most of the time, you're fighting a tank mechanic, then your enemy that is trying to kill you. Part disable mechanic is of course back, as usual, it's random, stupid, and you have no counter to that. The drop of the shell is extremely short, and for some reason, I have a feeling it's not based on distance, it's based on where your crosshair is pointing, which would explain why hitting targets feels extremely inconsistent at different ranges. I don't know how to even describe it, or I'm not a developer that worked on these mechanics, or whatever, I haven't seen the code, but I don't really understand why sometimes it feels your tank shell hits direct where you're aiming at, and sometimes it's just too low, even up close. So it's not consistent. And I really can't explain it, but it's just one of those things that something feels weird with it. For some reason, there's spread while shooting a tank shell. Spread in a tank. What the fuck? What the fuck? On top of that, you have nothing, absolutely nothing to defend yourself against good pilots. If you're driving a tank and you're up against a good pilot, you're just a number and an open target to them. All they have to do is to look at you, and that moment you can just drop the tank, because you have no chance.
What do you expect me to do? What do you expect me to do?
Okay.
does this say about helis?
Talk about helicopters.
Yeah, as I talk about helicopters are being harassed by one now. Yeah, well, so what? Yeah, I have no defense against. Like, why do you want me to do dice? Why you want me to do that? Whoever designed the fucking. Now you're probably thinking you can unlock some self-defense mechanics as you progress in the game. Nope, that's absolutely nothing. The only self-defense mechanics you can unlock is 3 different types of smoke that basically do nothing. One big smoke, directional smoke, and smoke that apparently removes lock-on. Is this a fucking joke? But wait, Battlefield is about teamwork. Maybe I'm approaching this from a wrong angle. Maybe it's my bias. My squad mate in the tank can designate targets. So if I just unlock this stuff shell... Oh. Well, fuck you then. Which is a perfect transition to environment and how the game doesn't feel like it's inviting towards tank drivers. When you look at Battlefield 2042 maps, they are huge, and I understand that you might get an idea or impression that all these maps are designed for vehicle combat. Not really, mostly because all the important objectives are designed in a way that no ground vehicles can access those flags. And if they can, it's extremely tight and dangerous. Remember when I talked about mechanics and how infantry is just dunking on you with up close and you have no chance? Right. They doubled down on that with the map design they have in Battlefield 2042, and we have the same problem that we had in Battlefield 5, but just with more buildings. Attacking objectives is pointless, because as soon as you will encounter someone competent squad at objective, they will destroy you like you're nothing, and you can't do anything about it because mechanics don't allow you to do anything in the first place. I'm pretty certain it was done to prevent vehicles from dominating the whole game, but they already did that with the mechanics that put tank drivers into disadvantage anyway. And when I said moving around the map is extremely frustrating because of the physics, it gets even more annoying when you're traveling around the map and you encounter random objects blocking your path, let alone you can't even destroy them like you could in previous games. Damage dealt with vehicles, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it doesn't say in the score, it just says Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, it's Jason Bourne. Now we have all of this context, how does it feel to be a gun in a tank? Well, it's a mixed bag. I like the idea that your whole squad can be in the tank and provide some sort of support, which includes a 50 cal machine gun, close range explosives, and a laser designated thingy. Problem is, all these abilities are nice, but they're too spread out and nobody wants to sit in 3rd and 4th seats doing absolutely nothing. No random player wants to sit inside the tank and literally do nothing, while the 1st and 2nd seat are doing all the work. Good idea, but it wasn't implemented properly.
Oh fuck, that was...
That's another one. Okay, he dead.
Oh shit, there's another one. Oh, lovely.
Yeah, go assist on that. And now with everything I talked about, let's talk about some other stuff that I think plainly not good. Camera screen shake while being shot at or driving around is too much. I don't have problems with motion sickness in video games, but Battlefield 2042 is definitely one of those contributing to that. Video effects while you're being shot at are just plain annoying. All this blue static effect is not helping anyone, just makes things worse. Even, it's difficult to navigate in a fight, and it's just, I don't want to look at it. It just does, it makes fights inconsistent, and I really hate that. Oh, I got fucking hacked, I couldn't shoot! Such a good mechanic! For some reason, they decide to implement an individual timer when you can't use a vehicle again. I get, you want other players to have a chance to play the vehicles, but this only creates frustration towards everyone. I understand that this kind of mechanic is designed for somewhat smaller scale game modes where it makes sense to lock a tank, while losing a tank is important, but with 128 players, no, it's just not necessary. This mechanic should not be available in a sandbox type of game mode. Why there's 2 different progression systems for the same identical tanks? Yes, one is Russian and one is American, but if they're both identical, why is the point? It only creates frustration when unlocking equipment for your tank and suddenly you realize you can't use that specific attachment you just unlocked just because you haven't played for the other faction that much. Why can Specialist Rao literally hack into your tank and you're not able to shoot or use any countermeasures? It's like the most broken specialist ability against tanks. Yes, the game tells you when you're about to get hacked, but when you're in the open and that Rao player is somewhere above you and where you can't even reach him, you can't do anything about it, then how's that fair? No, just straight up remove that shit from the game because it's extremely unbalanced. Anything that lets... I don't even want to talk about it because, like, who the hell came up with this? Really? Really? Gotcha, it's this fucking shit. Okay, what do you want me to do, game? fucking Christ. Okay, so I've been rambling for a really long time. Let's go to the end of this video. How would I improve the current tank mechanics in Battlefield 2042? First and foremost, we need to stabilize the camera experience. Crosshairs should be not jumping around your screen just because you're moving, nor your camera needs to be all shaky just because you got shot. The perfect example is comparing Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5. Both games had a similar tank gameplay experience, but Battlefield 1 was clearly designed by designers and developers that understood what makes good tank mechanics. I never liked Battlefield 1, but tanks never felt like shit even if the gameplay was one-dimensional. The camera experience needs to be smooth and easy to read, unlike Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 2042, where it's frustrating most of the time. Number 2. Remove the annoying blue static visual effects when in a fight, which will help tank drivers to understand what is happening. Shooting in third person is already terrible, so why I'm being forced to make my experience even worse? On top of that, we need to reduce the smoke effects while firing a tank shell, because right now, visibility is extremely poor and it's hard to read the game while you're in the tank fight. It's just all you see is smoke everywhere, and it's just like, it's not fun. I understand the realism part, but we're not playing a realistic shooter. We're just playing an arcadey Battlefield game. Back in Battlefield 1, there was a gun called Rebiolis or something like that, and when it came out, it had realistic smoke effects coming out of the barrel as you shoot the gun. People complain that they can't see their targets as they shoot, and dice toned down or straight up removed the smoke effects that make it a bit more playable. Why can't tanks get the same treatment? Why was it even added in the first place? Number 3. Remove the part disable mechanic from the game and introduce a more static, simple damage system. Something more similar that is in Battlefield 4, where each part of the tank does specific damage if hit. Remove any random damage that you can't prevent and let tanks be tanks. A more predictable damage model will simplify the gameplay in a good way, which will encourage infantry and tank players to make creative decisions while attacking an objective. A more predictable damage model will simplify the gameplay in a good way, which will encourage infantry and tank players to make creative decisions while attacking an objective. Just like infantry players, tank drivers need to express themselves, and with more predictable damage model, it will become less annoying experience for infantry too, as they can tell instantly how damaged the tank is. On top of that, you should be receiving more damage, even maybe a disable, if you hit directly from the back. I think it's fair, makes you think where you can turn your back with the tank, and encourages infantry to be more aggressive and clever by trying to flank the tank. Trust me, nothing screams professional more than a dunking on a tank from behind. Infantry feel they can outsmart a tank driver, and when that happens, it's extremely satisfying. And me, as a tank driver, I can only give props to those infantry players. That's what we need, a more simplified damage model. Number 4, because the maps are so open, tanks have no defense from good pilots, regardless how good the tank driver is, even if that protection only lasts for a couple of seconds, so they can get into some sort of cover. Introduce active protection system from Battlefield 4, also known as APS. It gives a couple of seconds of protection for you to retreat, and if the infantry really wants to kill your ass, your APS will have a cooldown anyway, so you can't abuse it as you think you would. And it worked perfectly in Battlefield 4, and I see no reason why it should not work in Battlefield 2042. Number 5. We need more instant acceleration, because right now it's extremely slow and clunky moving around the map or trying to improvise in a battle. Fights in tanks should be all about skill, not random mechanics that force you to play in a specific way that is not fun. Tank drivers should be able to express their skill just like infantry can, so more acceleration would be a start. And number 6, we need to combine 3 and 4 passenger seats together, which would encourage more teamwork and should be less boring towards passengers. Yes, you won't be able to put a whole squad into a tank, and passengers need to be more useful in that case.
No. Why is there a negative thing of having the 4th seat?
Well, it's not negative, it's just useless. What you want to sit in the tank and just spot? You don't do anything as in the 4th seat. You just look around. That's all you do.
And?
How's that fun? That's not fun. You've just been useless.
But why do you want to remove it so you can't spawn or like travel with the whole squad?
Then
give fucking idiotic.
Then give like an option like, oh, you want to be a support tank? Okay, remove the 4th seat and you can become a spawn point for everyone. Like in BF5, there was a support tank.
Then you can't ride with a vehicle.
Why do you want to ride and do nothing?
But maybe you want to travel from one point to another. I mean, you are fucking...
Well, that's different then. That transport vehicle should be providing that, not tanks.
Oh my god.
And these ideas of mine are just scratching the surface. And I will admit straight away, they are nothing special or revolutionary. They are simple enough that they can and will improve the tank experience in Battlefield 2042. I want tank drivers to be good in them. I don't want them to be overpowered either. Battlefield is all about combined warfare, where vehicles and infantry are complementing each other without being annoying to each other. Both of these roles have a purpose, and that purpose should not be compromised for stupid nonsense that makes each other, feel useless. DICE, please contact the people that play your games, understand them, and get your unbiased feedback you deserve, and make the necessary changes to the game. Worst case, for your next game at least. Because otherwise, why is the point of all these vehicles if they're not fun towards all parties that play your game? If you can't create synergy between infantry and vehicle gameplay, you're just encouraging unbalanced experience that will make people mad. And we're back to having discussions why vehicles are overpowered or how certain vehicles have no place in a Battlefield game in the first place. I hope you will do necessary changes, DICE. If not, I doubt you will have benefits in the long run if you don't. And that's kinda it. That's all I want to talk about. I just want to mention why vehicles are not fun to use in Battlefield 2042. And if you do like this video, please leave a like. If you don't, leave a dislike as usual. You can always tell me why this video sucks. I'm all ears, boys and girls, but that's kinda it. Thank you for watching. This was the Lanky Soldier, and we'll see you guys on the battlefield. Stay safe.
Whichever one's the closest.
Did you realize what the guy's name is in our squad?
I have Maktouma.